This is Ken Porcaro, and today we're going to make some bagels. So what I'd like to do is just tell you of the basic ingredients we're going to be using today. We're going to be using sugar, salt, some bread flour, water, yeast, and some cornmeal so the bagels won't stick to the board that we're going to be putting those bagels on later on. So what I'd like to do is start off with a cup of water, and this is going into a typical bread machine. So because of the capacity and the density of the dough of the bagels, I can only do a cup at a time. So the first thing I'm going to do is add the cup of water. The next thing we're going to do is add salt, and this salt is kosher salt, and I prefer to use the kosher salt over the regular salt. So for that 1 cup of water, we're going to use 1.5 teaspoons of salt. That's the kosher salt. The next thing we're going to be putting in is the sugar. And for this amount of bagels, we're going to be using 3 tablespoons of sugar. And we're going to be using, I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to start it for the sugar and salt to dissolve, and I'm going to use 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. And this is the active dry yeast, and I'll show that to you. So again, 1/4 teaspoon. That's all we're going to use. So that goes in. That's going to mix up for a few minutes, and then I would like to talk about the flour we're going to use. The flour I recommend is the bread flour. Bread flour has more gluten to it, and it makes for a better bagel than the all-purpose flour. So to that end, we're going to add 3 cups of the bread flour to our mixture of the salt, the sugar, and the yeast. So what I'm doing is I'm measuring off 3 cups. There's 1, 2. Now you notice that I'm sort of leveling this off because I can always add flour afterwards. So I put in my 3 cups. Going to turn this on and let that mix. So now our dough is mixing, and this is going to take approximately 10 minutes for the dough to be finally finished. When the dough is finished, we're going to let it rest for approximately 45 to 50 minutes. So what I'm going to do is take it out of the dough machine, and I'm going to shape it. This is called hand kneading. So what you do is you take the ends, draw them toward the middle, and just roll it into place. So I put it as a shape of a loaf, and I'm going to let that rest for 45 to 50 minutes. All right, we're back after 45 to 50 minutes. The dough is resting. The reason why we want to let the dough rest is to be able to shape it. So what I'm going to do now is take the dough and put it on a cutting board. And the reason why we put it on the cutting board is so we can cut it. And if you can look at this dough, you can see it's pretty well relaxed. So what I'm going to do now is cut this into strips. And we're going to roll it into a rope-like shape and shape it around my fingers and make the final dough bagel. So what I do is take maybe a couple of inches and I cut the dough like so, And what I do is I take the ends, put them toward the middle, and I roll it. And the thickness determines the size of the bagel. So this is what I want for the size that I want to make. And now I'll cut another one, and I'll attach it, and I'll roll it. Now you can do this and let the strips rest a little bit before you actually make the dough, bagel. And I'm ready to make the bagel. So what I do, I take the strip, wrap it around 3 fingers, break it like so, lock it, and put it onto the board. So let's go through that process again. Take the dough, wrap it around 3 fingers, break it with your thumb, and lock it. This needs some practice. So don't be afraid if you don't get it right the first time. You break it, overlap it, and roll it. 2 hours, 3 hours have gone by. I can tell by the shape and the feel of these that these are ready to go into the refrigerator. So they have risen for approximately 2 hours. So now I'm going to refrigerate those. Well, good morning. We're back here, and as you might have remembered, we made the bagels yesterday afternoon, and we refrigerated it overnight. So it's been refrigerated for about 12 hours. So anyways, we're going to take them out. And you notice the reason why we refrigerate is we want to make sure that we get that bagel chewiness and the brownness on the outside. So we've taken the bagels out, we've started the water to boil, and we're going to start our oven. Now when we're baking, we're going to be baking at 500 degrees. Now ordinarily, baking, in the baking process, you want to get as high of a temperature as you can. This oven is electric, so it can only go up to 500. Gas ovens can go up to 550, and we're going to be baking for 10 minutes, boiling for 5. As you can see, the water is boiling very vigorously, and that's what you want. So I'm going to put in 5 bagels. And the reason why I put in the 5 bagels is that when these are going to expand, and they're going to take up the entire surface of the pan. So don't try to put too many in. There's our timer. We've boiled for 5 minutes. So now I'm going to take the bagels out. And as I take them out, I make sure that the cornmeal side is down. And I'm going to be doing 5 at a time. So I put them on the parchment paper, and the oven is up to temperature. So in the oven they go. And what I'm going to do now is put these in the oven. I'm now going to throw in another batch of 5 more bagels. The water is boiling, so I just put them in, and they come to the surface immediately. So what I'm going to do is make sure they're facing the same direction. It doesn't matter, cornmeal side up or cornmeal side down, but that way there you can turn them every minute or so. I baked the bagels for approximately 10 minutes, so I'm going to now take them out. And as you can see, this is what the finished product looks like. They say the proof of a good bagel is in the eating. So I'm going to start to eat this bagel, but this whole process is an easy process. It's more time than anything else. So I wish you would try it when you have a moment. Bon appetit.